In today's video, we're going to be talking about the complexities and chemical compounds along with the atmospheric pressures of making char cloth. What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker, Bushcraft. So char cloth, this magical stuff right here. Okay, that stuff right there. We're not gonna give you some kind of crazy dissertation about char. We're gonna just go A to Z, all the questions and things that you need to know about char in order to make it work for you. Now, funny stuff aside, you're literally just putting material inside a tin container and throwing it in a campfire. So that's like the dirty rundown of char. Now, let's even move that back further though. Maybe you don't even know what this is. Maybe this is the first time watching this channel. If it is, hit like and subscribe down below. But if you watch this channel, you've seen us use char before. Char is an aid in fire creation out here in a wilderness environment. So once you make this stuff, you can then ignite this with a spark of flint and steel, a spark of a ferrocerium rod, a lighter that doesn't have any fluid and won't give you flame. You can use one of those. You can also light this with the flame. So if you have a flame, you can light this, and then what happens is it's not going to burst into flame, but you're going to have a burning ember. So you have a nice big ember here that you can then add oxygen to and create fire. Okay, so it's a really fun way to make fire, and we typically team it up with that very first thing I mentioned, and that is flint and steel. So let's just go right through everything, start to finish. We'll make some, and you'll be good to go. And if you already make char, maybe you'll pick up a couple tips along the way, some things that we can talk about with making really good char. So just like anything in the outdoor world, there are a lot of variables when it comes to any of these topics that we discuss. So we're going to just stick to the plain Jane stuff. There's always going to be outliers, and somebody in the comments, you ever see how wild they get? They're going to be, well, you could do this or that. We're staying pretty simple here, all right, folks? Okay, so what do you need for char? First, you need some type of natural material, and then you need some type of container to cook it in, and then the third part of that is right over here, and that is our campfire. Now, the weirdest part of char and like flint and steel fires is that you need a fire to create the stuff to make the next fire. Now, there are ways around that, but generally speaking, you got to get a campfire going or share a campfire with somebody, make this stuff, and then moving forward, you'll always be prepared. Okay, so you do need these three components. So let's talk about the two important ones here, and that, well, not that the third fire isn't important, but the two big ones here, your container and your material. So let's first look at our container. Okay, so what is the purpose of the container with flint and steel? So the purpose of the container is to break up the triangle of fire. We know to make fire, to actually get that flame, we need heat, oxygen, and fuel. In our case, we're going to have heat because we have the campfire. We have fuel, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but then we're going to eliminate oxygen, and that's what this vessel is actually doing, is eliminating the oxygen from getting to this, okay? And then the process is going to happen with it. Now, when it comes to picking containers, Altoids tins are probably going to be the first tin that you ever use. It's just like you have to, and even if you think you have a cool tin, get an Altoids tin, because everybody starts with this. Then you can upgrade your tins from there. The nice thing with an Altoids tin, it makes a good supply of char for yourself. It's carryable, so you don't have to worry about having something too big to carry along with you. And sometimes if you use a really small little metal container, the problem there is you just don't get enough char. So an Altoids tin or something similar to this is going to be absolutely perfect. Now, this one has already been in the fire. That's why it looks like this, okay? You can just see the imprint of Altoids. But when you first get it, there's going to be paint and stuff on it. You don't have to go and scrub that off or do anything special. People think they need to do something special with that. You do not. Once you put it in the fire a couple times, it will burn all that paint off. Next thing that's important with the tin is that it doesn't have a rubber gasket on the inside. If it does, it's going in a campfire. It is going to melt. Not good, okay? So again, that's why these hinge tins, okay, from Altoids work really good. But again, there's a ton of different tins out there you can use. So no rubber gaskets. And then the last part of it is that we need some way. We're stopping oxygen from getting to our fuel, but we need some way for the gases inside, because there's going to be gases that are created. Those gases need to escape somehow. So we need some type of vent. Generally with an Altoids tin, you could see like this lid is loosey-goosey. I mean, it's a flip tin, but it's like loose. And in the back, there's little slots here, okay, where the hinges are that would allow air to get in and out, okay? But what's gonna happen is as the gas builds up, the gas pressure escaping is gonna block air from coming in. So if you have a hinged tin, okay, that seems like it's just loose, that's okay. It's probably more than enough to let those gases out. If you have a tin that's very tight fitting, possibly no hinges or maybe hinges, but it's just tight fitting and you have to like pry that thing open, it is important that we put some type of vent hole. We generally stab the tip of our knife in, or in this case I just took an awl and I punched it through with an awl. That will give ample amount of room for that gas to escape, which you'll see once we get it in the campfire, and you will be good to go. So that knocks off tins. All right, now it goes on to the material that can go inside the tin. There are way too many materials to name that you can put inside, but generally when you're starting, and even now as an advanced, I'll call myself advanced today, okay, I like to use some type of cotton material. Now, there's different types of cotton. There's very thin cotton, like this bed sheet here that I just cut off the bed this morning, okay, nice and thin, or you can go with a terry cloth. I like terry cloth. It's thicker, more robust, so I have a heavier, stronger ember. Now, the ember's not going to be hotter here, but it's like having more fuel, because if we feel the terry cloth, we have all those little loops, we have some thickness to it compared to like a thin, flat cotton, like if you cut your underwear apart. Although the temperature is going to be the same in both of these, this one has more fuel, so you're going to have a bigger, stronger ember, and then if it's bigger and stronger, of course, it's going to be hotter because there's more volume there, kind of thing. So let's not get I keep dropping my tin, so let's not be overly technical with it. All right, the other reason I like terry cloth, even more so than, let's name some other ones before people have a fit, denim or lamp wick or anything like that, is if you look at terry cloth really closely, you're gonna see these little loops, okay, on the terry cloth. They are like magical when it comes to flint and steel fires, because when we use a flint and steel set and we hit the steel striker off the rock, we get this shower of sparks. All we need is one of those sparks to ignite our char cloth when it's finished. So having all those little loops on that cloth, they act like all little sticks, like you're building a fire with all this little stuff compared to using a big log. So they both work, but this works just a little bit better. It burns a little bit longer, it's a little bit thicker, a little bit more robust. So in my opinion, go with the terry cloth. You could buy washcloths really cheaply at Walmart or Target or anywhere like that, or you could steal them from your wife. The Pottery Barn ones are the best. I hope my wife's not watching this. I'll be dead to me. I'll be living out here full time. Now, last thing on the material itself, it does need to be 100% cotton fabric. All right, so natural materials. So we're going to go with cotton for this. If you have anything that's polyester blend or nylon and you put it in, what's going to happen? It's not going to char, it's going to melt. Okay, so if you put something in, and sometimes honestly you just don't know, you think you got a good washcloth, you put it in there and it comes out just like a molten ball of melted plastic, and it's a mess. So if that's the case, it wasn't good material. I'm not going to blame you all that much, because I have bought stuff that's at 100% cotton already and it melts. Okay, so if that happens, it's just bad material. You got to go back to the drawing board. All right, now before we throw this thing in the fire, do we cut or not cut? I can just see like just bushcrafters, like almost like a scene in Braveheart where they're just colliding together over this. So here's my take on this. I used to cut with my knife or scissors this into nice little squares. And then what I realized was, well, your char is going to depend how much you use depending on the environment that you're in. So I realized it's better just to rip a piece of this off and cook a large piece inside your tin, and then it rips apart really easily, which I'll show you here in a little bit. So I just rip big chunks off and put it inside my tin. So ripped piece of material inside my tin container, lid closed. Okay, now here's a little tip with this if you're new to this. If your material is making the lid pop open, all right, I know that's an over-exaggeration, but I see people do this at classes. They're like, I'm going to make every ounce of char. I'm going to put my underwear and my jeans and and my shirt from my vehicle inside this Altoids tin. They do this, they're like, all right, it's shut, and they put it in the fire, and a second later, this happens. We're exposing oxygen now. Your char is going to burn up. It's not going to be good. Even if during the process everything seems okay and you force the lid a little bit much, what's going to happen is them gases start to build up. You probably have so much material in there that it's clogging up your vent port, and you get a pop. That's this much, your char is gone. So just make sure that your container's closed. If you do this with your container and the lid is just constantly falling open, probably time to get a new container. Just, I don't know, throw them inside the car window if you don't like them or something, and be at it. Or you can always bend the tin. But this is what we're looking for. So we covered a lot. Now it's time to put it in a campfire. All right, so this is where it gets like the most untechnical. You're gonna take your char and you're just gonna place it in the campfire. That's about it. While your char is cooking inside there, some people will panic, number one, because they start to see flame coming out of the container. That's okay. That is, remember, gases escaping. So those gases are combustible. So as they come out and they hit with heat, they do burn. So if you see flame shooting out, that is not the end of the world. Just let the char go. There's a really good example of flame coming out those hinge ports. So that's gas coming out. It's not my char being ruined. It's just the gases igniting as they come out. So that is nothing to panic about. Just let it go and you'll be okay. But the biggest question, okay, is how long do I cook my char for? So there is no answer to that. You cook it till it's done. You can't overcook char, but you can undercook it. So as a good rule of thumb, when you put your char in, just let it go for like 10-15 minutes, and that should be enough. I mean, if you get a bigger container, it's gonna take longer, but 10 or 15 minutes is gonna be more than enough for that char to cook, and then you can remove it from the campfire. Now, when removing your char container from the campfire, it is gonna be hot, so you can't grab it with your fingers. If you're by yourself and you're just out to make char, you can just let the campfire burn out and let it lay in there, but most of the time you're gonna have to get it out of the campfire. So you can use a pair of pliers. Again, we just don't wanna pop that lid too soon, which we'll talk about in a second, or you can just use some sticks, okay, like some kind of woodland chopsticks here. You could just grab it that way and pick it up. I guess if I show it, it would be better. So much easier when it's in the campfire, right? So you just do something like this and bring it out. Now, remember, we manipulated the triangle of fire here. So if I flip that lid to check this really quickly, all right, what am I doing? Adding oxygen. That thing is going to become an ember. So it gotta cool. So just let it sit around, let it cool. But you wanna be able to touch the tin and handle the tin, not like, all right, it must be good. Meanwhile, you have like third-degree burns kind of thing. So this is what we're looking for. Bring it out, let it cool. And I can tell you, I didn't have this in that long, so it's going to probably be in the early stages of char, which is good because then again, we could throw it back in there. All right, so my char tin is now manageable by hand. So if we open it up, left it go. So see how quick char sometimes cooks? It's done already. But what you might be able to notice here, where I left the tag in, which I'm gonna pretend I did it on purpose. I didn't, but I did. You could see right there. You see that little like crunchy melted look? That's because it's nylon. So that is not, if your whole piece looks like that, bad material. But if the rest of your material looks like this, you are golden and you have made yourself some really good char. Now, if you open this up and it looks white, okay, or the color, say you had pink underwear on and it's pink and it's just brown and black in different spots, well, in that case then you need to throw it back into the campfire because you just didn't cook it long enough, and there's no problem throwing that back in. All right, so I threw another batch of char in because I mean, I have to be able to show the demo, right? So you're gonna notice here on the outside, all black, good to go. What you're gonna notice though when I start to open this up is it's like brown and there's some white left. It's just not finished. So if you open up your char and you see this, it's not the end of the world. We're just gonna take it, we're gonna place it back in here and put it back in the campfire. All right, all you crazy bushcrafters, outdoor goers, that was a little bit of a tongue twister when I'm trying to yell it out loud, but that was a good reference guide, A to Z, about char cloth. Now there's variables outside of what we talked about, natural char and different ways without containers to do char, all this kind of stuff. But this is what you're mostly going to do. This is a fun way to do it. You can have kids do it. You can have the elderly do it. I don't know, go take them out of the old age home and bring them out for the day. They'll love it. And then you can also do it too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to this, flint and steel, fun. It's our favorite way here to make fire. And if you're an advanced and you've been following Coalcracker a long time, you're probably an expert at it. And if you're not an expert at it, you can check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for our classes. You can also buy flint and steel kits and all kind of other gear. And then we have blogs and all that good stuff. And again, hit like and subscribe down below because we put out some good information. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until the next video, make your char, stay in the woods.